Right now at 5, with school back in session in the 4 states, this is a reminder to follow the rules of the road when it comes to school buses.
And we've got another pretty decent day out there. Temperatures right around average, so a little bit warmer. We'll take a look at your forecast as you head out the door coming up.
Plus, when you're online or on the phone, you need to be careful as scammers are always there looking to scam you out of money.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning, 4 states, and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. The time now is 5 a.m. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy.
I'm Chris Warner. So we had a pretty decent day yesterday. It wasn't too bad, a little warm, but nothing awful out there. It's going to be a little warmer today as our temperatures get a little closer to normal out there. And unfortunately, as we've mentioned yesterday, we're going to continue to warm up as we head through the week. Quick look at the MoDOT camera, 20th and range line in Joplin. Looking back to the south, and we're looking pretty good this morning. Kids getting on the bus today. About 7 a.m. We're looking right around the low 60s, mostly clear skies, calm breeze out there. And as they come home, it's a little bit warmer, about 86 by 3 o'clock. Partly cloudy skies. We get a northwest breeze at about 5 to 10 miles an hour. So again, not too bad of a start and not too bad of a day across the area as well. And as you get your morning started, again, a bit warmer. Not hot, not like last week, but a bit warmer as we go mid-60s by 8. We'll have mostly clear skies across the area through the morning, and we're going to go close to 80 by 11 a.m. out there. So again, a progressive warm-up, and again, temperatures closer to average, which are usually right around the upper 80s for this time of year. As we mentioned, though, we are looking at temperatures getting pretty hot as we head a little later down the road and into the Labor Day weekend. We're going to take a full look at your forecast, and if we have a moment, we'll update you on Hurricane Idalia as well here in just a few more minutes. Caitlin?
Thanks, Chris. Well, a new law in Missouri will take a more hands-off approach to the way you drive. The sit-in-meaning hands-free law went into effect yesterday. The new law prohibits handheld cell phone use while driving. And it's not just cell phones. It's any electronic communication devices like pagers and tablets. There are specific exemptions in the law for drivers communicating in emergency situations, emergency first responders, and other emergency roadside workers, and for hire drivers. Penalties for violation of the law will be enacted beginning January 1st, 2025, to allow adequate time for public education. The U.S. Department of Agriculture plans to make a sizable investment in the sunflower state. The USDA is investing $49.1 million to help rural utilities build and improve clean drinking water and sanitary wastewater systems in rural Kansas. Some of those grants and loans will go to Neosho County and the cities of Girard and Humboldt for various projects, such as construction of a new booster pump, water system refurbishment, the replacement of miles of mains, and improvements to a supply intake system. And just a week into the new school year, and some families already report drivers failing to follow rules of the road around school buses. KOAM's Amber Jenkins talks to people in one Joplin neighborhood about their safety concerns.
My son's favorite part of the day should not be taken away because other people cannot follow the law.
Every morning, Danielle helps her son board the school bus to start his day.
Issues with people passing our bus with the lights flashing, literally the lights going, my son going up the wheelchair ramp, and it's just the lack of caring.
Danielle requested the Joplin Police Department for assistance. She said they told her the department is too understaffed. However, she believes a police presence will help the issue.
Literally just drive by. I haven't even asked them to stop and patrol. I have not asked them to sit at the park. I have asked them simply to just have a patrolman just do a simple drive-by. It doesn't take that long. It's a 5-minute process. They won't even give us that.
Danielle is trying to spread awareness of the issue by posting on Facebook.
What is it going to take next? Someone else getting hit?
The dangers of the roads don't just stay on the asphalt, but it can also affect neighborhoods. The residents here say the quality of driver that's on the roads does affect their way of living.
Myself and my neighbor, who live very close to her, have about 16 children between us. That's not even including the other side of the road. It would be great if they could put up some more signs to try to slow people down or patrol the area more. That's what I would suggest.
Sometimes I wish somebody could sit over there and get some tickets going, because they're just not Even if they put speed bumps in, I don't think it will help.
And it's not going to stop until it's addressed, sadly.
Reporting in Joplin, Amber Jenkins, KOAM News.
According to Missouri law, illegally passing a school bus is a Class A misdemeanor. First-time offenders found guilty could have their license suspended for 90 days. And the Federal Trade Commission processed 2.4 million fraud reports in 2022 with an $8.8 billion price tag. According to the FTC, identity theft and imposter scams topped the list. Imposter scams happen when someone pretends to be a trusted person to get you to either send them money or give them personal information about yourself. When they get the details they need, that's when it goes south. Scammers don't just target the elderly. Officers Rhonda Andrews with the Baxter Springs Police Department says imposter scams like this are becoming all too common. According to the Federal Trade Commission, for every 5 imposter scam attempts, at least one person loses money.
I had a case the other day. It was an older woman. She's a grandmother, and they took several $1,000s from her, and it really affects them. That's her life savings. They don't work. Some of these people don't work anymore, and that's their retirement.
Officer Andrews and the Baxter PD will host a scam prevention class next Saturday, September 2nd, from 2 to 3 p.m. at the Baxter Springs City Hall. It's open for anyone to attend. And that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, MSSU's head coach Abida Bradley and a couple of his players took to the podium to preview an opponent for the first time this season. Plus, did you know that cancer rates are up for 2 groups? If you stick with us, we'll have which ones they are. And another milder day in the 4 states. We'll have when those hot temperatures are set to return with Chris in the Skywatch Weather Center. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back.
Well, the college football season begins on Thursday for Missouri Southern. The Lions are excited to get out there and prove just how much better they've gotten since going 4-7 in the 2022 season. Yesterday afternoon, head coach Abida Bradley, along with a couple of MSSU players, took the podium to preview an opponent for the first time this season. One of the areas that the Lions are very excited about heading into the 2023 is the improvement of second-year quarterback Luke Sampson.
Just been so pleased with his leadership, his poise. You can see his feet are quieter. He's throwing the ball in some really good windows. He has all but eliminated some of the mistakes that he made the last 3 games of the year. And so I think he's ready to take a big step from year 1 to year 2.
Not that our defense isn't good, but our offense has looked really well throwing the ball around and playing catch. That's one of our fundamental things as an offense is just playing catch, and that's all it is. You're just throwing the ball to each other. So we've had a good connection with the whole group.
Carl Junction softball just began its season with a weekend tournament, but after going 3-1, the Bulldogs are off to their best start since 2009. Last evening, they were at home against Cassville. Bottom of the first, Aubrey Stouffer gets the strikeout for the Wildcats. Carl Junction offense would heat up, though. Bottom second, no score. Matty Olds smashes one to left field. Sun causes some problems. That drops down for a triple. We're going to go 2 batters later. It's Izzy Southern. She unloads on this ball to right center field. Gone for a 2-run homer, her first of the season. Go to the bottom of the third. Hard contact continues to be a trend. Kenley Spindler knocks one up the middle. She'd reach in there safely. Bulldogs win this one going away. 8-4 the final score, and they're now off to a 4-1 start. Meanwhile, just a 15-minute drive away, Nevada and Pittsburgh playing last evening. The Tigers playing 3 games on Saturday, only gave up 1 run total. And they get it done at the plate as well. Top of the 5th, this RBI single by Kalea Johnson. It's part of a 4-run inning to give the Tigers a lead. On the mound, Peyton Eaton was a machine. First, the quick reflexes on this line drive bunt. Right back to her, gets an out in the bottom of the 5th. A little bit of trouble later in the frame when Mackenzie Wynn reaches on an error. Calm, cool, and collected, though. Eaton fields the grounder and gets the out at first to escape the sixth with no harm. She'd go all 7 innings, only allowing 3 hits, and picks up her 4th strikeout to end it. Nevada wins 5-1 on the road. Still to come, France looks to ban abayas in its state-run schools after an already controversial ban on full-face veils. Plus, take another look at that average temperature forecast and tell you when the heat returns when we return. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. It is now coming up on 5:16 on this Tuesday morning across the area. And we'll take a look around the region as we get our day started. MoDOT camera, 20th and Range Line, looking good so far. And that street light, they need to change that bulb, I think. Otherwise, looking great from the MoDOT camera at US 60, Missouri 59. Again, looking back to the west toward Lusk Drive. And we'll take a look at the KDOT camera, this one on US 69 at East 520th, just south of Pittsburgh itself. And it's looking pretty darn good as well. And same with our camera at 7th and Range Line. We've got clear skies, 65. Feels like 65, dew point low 60s, humidity 90%. So again, like yesterday, we're looking at some low-lying patchy fog out there, so it shouldn't cause any problems. But if you're traveling on some of the rural highways and rural roadways, just be aware that there could be some patchy fog. Temperatures around the area, again, a beautiful start. We got 63 Iola, Fort Scott, 66 Chanute, 63 Parsons, Pittsburgh, and Chatopa, 65 in Miami, Neosho, Carthage, and 63 also in Monette. As we get our morning started, we're going to hang out in the low to mid 60s, mostly clear skies, just a few clouds out there, warming up a little bit more, closer to 80 by late morning. Heading into the afternoon, our highs are going to be mid to upper 80s across the area, so right around average, but warmer than where we were yesterday under partly cloudy skies. And as wild as it sounds, before 7, so roughly between 5 and 7, there's a very slight chance of a stray shower or two. I know, kind of crazy, but that is there. Odds are most of us, not all of us, will be dry, but that chance exists. And then overnight, we're partly cloudy, going back into the mid-60s. So quick update on Idalia, now a Category 1 hurricane, expected to be Category 2 by 2 o'clock. Today. Then Category 3 winds 120 gusts to 150 as we get to 2 a.m. tomorrow, and then it'll start to make landfall as a major hurricane and circle on and just ride right along southeast Georgia and the Carolina coastline. So there are already alerts out there. We've got hurricane warnings into the parts of the Florida Panhandle, including Tampa, tropical storm warnings for Jacksonville and the eastern side of Florida, and tropical storm watches for parts of the Georgia coast into South Carolina. So a lot that they've got to keep an eye on down there. A lot of concerns, of course, as Idalia continues to strengthen into a major hurricane over the next couple of days. As for us, again, hanging out around average, sunny skies, partly cloudy Friday, a little warmer, a little above average, about 90. Heading into the holiday weekend, maybe a stray shower or storm on Sunday. Otherwise, temperatures warming up again as we go back into the low to mid 90s. And as we head into next week, we are keeping our eye on some increasing thunderstorm chances. And if these do come to be, they will help keep our temperatures down. So we were expecting, initially maybe mid upper 90s. But if we get these storms, that'll help keep our temperatures at least a little cooler. That's a quick check of your forecast. We will be back with Health Watch right after this.
Topping Health Watch this morning, 1 in 3 women and 1 in 2 men will be diagnosed with cancer in their lifetime, according to the American Cancer Society. And a recent study finds that certain kinds of cancer are being diagnosed more often in younger adults. Mandy Gaither has a look at the research in the 2 groups of people most affected by the rising cancer diagnosis rates.
Women and adults in their 30s seem to be driving a rise in early onset cancer diagnosis rates.
Just to get the definition straight, if a cancer is diagnosed before the age of 50, it's considered an early onset diagnosis.
In a study published in JAMA Network Open, researchers found the rate of cancer diagnosis rose in adults in their 30s from 2010 to 2019, but remained stable over that period in other under 50 age groups, while the rate of cancer in those 50 and older is going down.
If you go back to 2010, there was roughly 100 per 100,000 diagnoses made in that population of people, again, under the age of 50. Fast forward 10 years and it's gone up to close to 103, so about a 3% increase.
Researchers found early onset cancers were going up fastest among people who identify as American Indian, Alaska Natives, Asians, and Hispanics. Cancers with the highest number of early onset cases diagnosed in 2019 were breast, thyroid, and colorectal cancers.
The percentage of the country that is obese at this young age now is higher than it's ever been.
Health experts believe that's one possible reason for the rise, along with smoking and lack of exercise. Researchers also think screening for these cancers has become more sensitive.
We are better at finding these cancers earlier. The screenings are happening, or they're more sensitive, so we may be finding more cancers that way.
Health experts say a healthy lifestyle can help reduce your risk of cancer. That means a healthy diet, exercise, and limiting alcohol. And a new study indicates 5 common cancer screenings are not linked to longer lifespans, but researchers say they do help people survive cancer in particular. The review of clinical trials involves data from more than 2 million patients. According to the study, only colorectal cancer screening with sigmoidoscopy extends life expectancy, while mammographies, prostate exams, lung cancer checks are still important. They don't necessarily extend the life of the patient. The researchers emphasize people should still get tested because such evaluations improve outcomes for cancer specifically. They say doctors and patients should just be realistic about what tests can accomplish. And COVID-19 infections are starting to rise again across the United States. But the good news is, while experts say COVID-19 is still more dangerous than the flu, they say it's less likely to catch it than it used to be. And that's due in part to the virus having changed our immunity, and nearly all Americans now have some immunity against COVID-19. The CDC says that it's screened blood samples and estimates that 97% of Americans have some degree of immunity through vaccination, infection, or both. That means our immune systems, as long as they're healthy and working as they should, will remember most forms of the coronavirus when it next comes our way. And a study looking at CTE found it may be more prevalent than previously believed, especially in amateur athletes. Boston University's CTE Center analyzed 152 donated brains from athletes under the age of 30 at the time of their death. 63 had developed early signs of CTE, or chronic trauma encephalopathy, the brain injury associated with multiple concussions. Unlike past studies, most of these athletes were amateurs on youth, high school, or college teams. The authors found the youngest person diagnosed with CTE was a 17-year-old football player. They also diagnosed the first female, a 28-year-old collegiate soccer player. CTE can only be formally diagnosed with an autopsy. And a new study shows a disturbing trend with gun violence. It found 1 in 14 gunshot victims will be shot again within a year. Within 5 years, the chances increased to 1 in 8, and then 1 in 6 after 8 years. Researchers used data from several level 1 trauma hospitals in the St. Louis area between 2010 and 2019. Young black men in their mid-20s are at particular risk, with 96% found to suffer a repeat shooting injury. Researchers found people living in poorer neighborhoods were most likely to be victims of gun violence and were at greater risk of a repeat injury. A summer of extreme heat and air quality alert has put communities across the United States at risk. Now researchers are trying to learn about the pollution that could be lurking inside your home, where Americans on average spend 90% of their time. Natalie Brand takes a look at a new study aimed at protecting vulnerable communities.
Socializing after Sunday service doesn't typically involve conversations about air quality.
30% of all Americans live in communities with unhealthy air.
But some parishioners at St. James Episcopal Church in Baltimore, Maryland, are getting these sensors to track air quality and temperature inside their homes.
According to the EPA, indoor air is sometimes 2 to 5 times more toxic than outdoor air.
Professor Terry Adams and her team at Howard University say these monitors will measure indoor pollutants.
Carbon dioxide in there, particulate matter or matter that's just floating in the air. It can be dust, dirt, mites, anything. Formaldehyde.
Those particles can come from synthetic building materials, household products, poor ventilation, even cooking, and can cause health effects from headaches and irritation to respiratory diseases, even cancer.
How do you think your house is going to do? That's $1 million question.
Study participant Richard Hackett says poor air quality outdoors this summer from the Canadian wildfires left him feeling sick.
I feel discomfort in my chest. I feel discomfort in my head and my eyes.
Professor Adams says urban centers and underserved communities can be especially impacted by pollution and extreme heat.
I would say that we have two major goals. One is to make people more aware, and also so that we can collect data to inform policymakers of where resources need to go.
Indoors, that could include providing air conditioners and air filters. Outdoors, planting more trees to clean and cool the environment.
If we wait too long, it'll be too late.
Hackett created his own green space in front of his home to do his part and hopes more people take action to improve the air. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Baltimore.
People who may be most vulnerable to the health impacts of outdoor air pollutants, such as older adults and children, often spend the most time indoors. And that's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
And we've got ourselves another pretty nice start across the area today. We're going to be a little bit warmer, but still right around average. Temperatures still expected to warm up as well for the holiday weekend. We'll take another look at your forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns.
Right now at 5:30, are you traveling for Labor Day? We'll have what AAA is predicting for holiday travel.
And if you're traveling today across the 4 states, or really anytime this week, looking great out there. Temperatures about average. We'll get you out the door with your first forecast coming up.
Plus, top-ranked athletes in the sport of pickleball made their way to Pittsburgh as the city put on a fundraiser for its own courts.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning, 4 states, and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. The time now is 5:31 a.m. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy.
I'm Chris Warner. So we have another pretty decent start across the area. It's
Very
just
nice.
a pinch warmer this morning. Going to be a pinch warmer today, but we are going to hang out about average as we head through the rest of our Tuesday. In fact, we'll have relatively average temperatures for the next few days across the region. Taking a look outside, MoDOT camera 20th and Range Line looking great so far, and it is going to stay that way as we head through the day. Kids getting on the bus. Time for school. I know, it's almost there. 7 a.m. we're looking at low 60s, mostly clear skies and a calm breeze out there. So again, not a bad start at all, considering that, last week some of those kids were out there just sweating at the bus stop at 7 a.m. And as the bus brings them home, not bad, again, close to average. We're talking about 86, 3 o'clock, partly cloudy skies. We'll have a light northwest breeze right around 5 to 10 miles an hour. And as we get our morning started, again, a little bit warmer, but still not too terribly bad. We'll have just a few clouds, mostly clear skies for our morning rush here. The temperature's gradually warming up, and we'll eventually make it to about 79 by 11 this morning. As I mentioned, we're going to be a little bit warmer today than we were yesterday, but we'll still be right around where we're supposed to be. Unfortunately, it doesn't last long. Temperatures will climb again, and we'll have a complete look at your forecast and the latest on Hurricane Idalia here in a few more minutes. Caitlin?
Thanks, Chris. Well, travelers gearing up for the holiday weekend can expect more traffic than last year. Experts say gas prices are unlikely to deter the late summer Great American Road Trip that goes for travelers in the air as well. According to AAA, booking data, flights, hotels, rental cars, and cruises are all up over 2022. INRIX, a global provider of transportation data and insights, expects this Thursday between 2 and 6 p.m. to be the busiest day and time on the roads. Anyone flying over the holiday weekend should check airline schedules for delays or cancellations before leaving for the airport. Less than a month after Tyson announced the closure of the Knoll plant, local businesses and housing programs in the area are already feeling the impact. According to Knoll Housing Authority Executive Director Rosetta Hartley, out of the 27 Somalian families that are part of the program and are tied to Tyson, 5 have already given notice that they are moving at the end of October, and 2 are moving in January. Another local business, Bob's Hometown Pizza's owner, Leanne Parrish, says about 80% of her clients are somehow tied to Tyson. With the closing of the plant, she's sad to see some of them already leaving.
We're just going day by day. I mean, we made it through COVID. We'll make it through this somehow.
We've grown. I've actually really grown to love our Somalian community, and it's going to be difficult for us.
The McDonald County Chamber is organizing another career fair for those looking for jobs. The event will happen on September 28th. And now that there are more school buses on the roads during the morning commute, drivers must stay vigilant when students are boarding. Parents near 2nd and Schifferdecker in Joplin are concerned about the number of drivers passing school buses while students board. Parents say this has been happening since school started a week ago.
Myself and my neighbor, who live very close to her, have about 16 children between us. That's not even including the other side of the road. It would be great if they could put up some more signs to try to slow people down or patrol the area more. That's what I would suggest.
According to Missouri law, illegally passing a school bus is a Class A misdemeanor. First-time offenders found guilty could have their license suspended for 90 days. Top-ranked pickleball players from around the world descended on Pittsburgh. The Pickle in Pit event includes plays with the pros game, a pickleball clinic, an exhibition match, and sign autographs with some of the top-ranked pickleball players in the world. Proceeds from this fundraising event will go to maintenance and enhancements to the Jack Johnson courts and new pickleball programs at the Four Oaks Sports Complex in Lincoln Park. That's a look at our top news stories coming up on this half hour of the KOAM Morning News. A woman who lost her cat 10 years ago is reunited with it. However, where the cat started and ended up at may surprise you. Plus, if you're traveling to Paris, Rome, or even Vienna in 2024, you might want to start applying for a visa to get in. We'll have the latest. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. Topping World Watch, if the end of summer already has you thinking about next year's travel plans, you're not alone. But if your 2024 travel plans include a Roman holiday or spending April in Paris, listen up. You'll need to apply in advance. To go to most countries in Europe, this is a big change, and Mike Valeros is here to explain.
So, you want to go to Europe in the new year? Well, this will likely be a new must-do, applying online to enter most European countries first before you get on a plane.
You'll enter your passport details, you'll enter a few security questions, maybe some questions about your trip details.
It's because of a new layer of European border security called the European Travel Information and Authorization System, or ETIAS. Citizens of the 60 or so non-EU countries that don't currently require a visa to enter the EU, such as the United States, the United Kingdom, and Canada, will now need a visa waiver to enter the world's largest visa-free zone. That includes countries like Italy, France, Greece, and Switzerland.
The ETIAS is basically being implemented to improve the safety, security, and to strengthen their borders in this visa-free zone. So this will screen travelers who don't require a full visa.
Designers of the system say applications should be processed in minutes, the vast majority completed in 96 hours. But authorities from the EU caution some applicants may be asked to provide additional information or documentation or to participate in an interview with national authorities, which may take up to additional 30 days.
We recommend you do these at least 30 days prior to your travel.
That's why it's advised not to book flights or accommodations until confirmation that the application is approved. I'm Mike Valerio reporting.
And France is set to ban children from wearing abayas in state-run schools. An abaya is a loose-fitting, full-length robe worn by some Muslim women. France's education minister says he would give clear rules at the national level to school officials ahead of the back-to-school season next week. France has enforced a strict ban on religious signs in state schools. In 2004, it banned headscarves in schools and passed a ban on full-face veils in public in 2010. Which has angered some of the Muslim community. We now know the identities of 3 Marines who were killed Sunday when an Osprey aircraft crashed in Australia. They are 21-year-old Osprey crew chief Corporal Spencer Collard, 29-year-old Osprey pilot Captain Eleanor Libya, and 37-year-old Executive Officer Major Tobin Lewis. 3 additional Marines are still being treated in the hospital, one with critical injuries. 17 others have been treated and released with minor injuries. Investigators don't know yet what led to the crash. The aircraft was conducting a training exercise on Melville Island, which is one of the northern end of Australia off the coast of Darwin. Soccer Federation boss Luis Rubiales could be charged with sexual aggression. He's the man accused of giving Spain's women's national team captain Jennifer Hermoso an unwanted kiss on the lips after the Spanish team won the Women's World Cup on August 20th. According to a statement published by the country's prosecutor's office Monday, Spain's government has opened an investigation into the incident. Meanwhile, the Royal Spanish Football Federation, RFEF, sent a letter to European football's governing body, UEFA, about the case. And police in India are investigating a teacher after a video of her encouraging students to slap their 7-year-old classmate who is Muslim sparked widespread outrage in the country. Vedika Sud has more.
Police in India's northern state of Uttar Pradesh are investigating a deeply disturbing video that shows a teacher asking at least 3 students to slap a fellow classmate who is Muslim. The incident, which took place on Thursday, according to CNN affiliate CNN News 18, has gone viral on social media, sparking widespread outrage and condemnation. In the 39-second video, which CNN has viewed, shows classmates take turns to slap the boy on the face, forehead, and his waist. The teacher, who can be seen in the frame, asked for the students to slap the boy harder for allegedly forgetting his times table. The boy can be seen crying through the video. According to a statement released by the police, the teacher made some objectionable comments in class. She said, quote, "Mothers of Mohammedan students don't pay attention to their child's studies, which impacts their performance." On Friday, the police issued a statement saying that a case has been opened against the teacher and that legal action will be taken. However, the teacher, Tripti Tyagi, speaking to CNN News 18 on Friday, said the video that has been circulated online was edited. She claims to have been under pressure from the student's parents to be strict with him. She said she is disabled and unable to get up. She instructed the other students to discipline him. Tyagi has issued an apology. Speaking to CNN, the father of the student denied the teacher's claims and said his son has been moved to another school but feels restless and scared. Opposition leader Rahul Gandhi has blamed the Modi government for inciting religious violence in the country. In a post on X, formerly known as Twitter, Gandhi said, quote, "Sowing the poison of discrimination in the minds of innocent children, turning a holy place like school into a marketplace of hatred. There is nothing worse than this that a teacher can do for the country." This is the same kerosene spread by the BJP, which has set every corner of India on fire. The state of Uttar Pradesh is governed by Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Hindu nationalist Bharatiya Janata Party. Its controversial Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath has often been criticized for his anti-Muslim rhetoric. CNN has reached out to Uttar Pradesh police officials for more details. Vedika Sud, CNN, New Delhi.
That's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News, 5:47 now on this Tuesday morning. And as we talked about more than once, we're now on the official downhill run to Friday, heading into a long weekend for some of you out there. Quick look outside, MoDOT camera, 20th in range line. Looks great so far, as does the MoDOT camera at US 60, Missouri 59 in Neosho, looking back toward Lusk Drive toward the west. And the KDOT camera at 69 East 520th Avenue, just south of Pittsburgh. Looks pretty good as well this morning, as we are dry and we are clear across the area. And we are not bad temperature-wise either. 65 in Joplin, dew points at 62, humidity 90% out there. So like yesterday, some low-lying patchy fog. So if you're out in the rural areas commuting this morning, just be aware, keep an eye out for that. Otherwise, again, not bad. 62 Iola, Fort Scott, 66 in Chanute, 62 in Pittsburgh, Chetopa, 63 Miami, and 64s in Lamar, Carthage, and Neosho this morning. As we get our morning started, we're going to talk about mid-60s by 8, and we'll warm up to right around 80 by late morning with mostly clear skies. Then we'll start to see a few more clouds this afternoon as we start to go partly cloudy. We are warmer than yesterday, but we're still right about where we should be as we go mid to upper 80s. And as we head into the evening, not a bad evening. Now, as wild as it sounds, between roughly 5 and 7, there's the possibility of a stray shower or two. Now, 98% of us will remain dry, but a couple of us could see a stray brief brief shower out there. We're otherwise, again, partly cloudy overnight, mid-60s out there. And then, of course, the other thing that we're all keeping an eye on is Hurricane Idalia. Right now, the winds are at 75 as of the last update, so Category 1 hurricane. By 2 o'clock today, expected to be Category 2, and as it heads toward the Florida coast, Category 3, so we're talking major hurricane, winds 120, gusts to 150. Still Category 1 as it crosses into parts of southern Georgia, and then it turns back toward the Atlantic, skirting the Carolina coastline, and it'll be a tropical storm, so a lot of concerns with flooding, storm surge, and of course the winds out there over the next few days. And of course, as such, there are hurricane warnings along the western coast of Florida, tropical storm warnings along the eastern coast of Florida and into southeastern Georgia, and then tropical storm watches from parts of Georgia along the South Carolina coast toward Charleston. So a lot to keep an eye on down there for them as they deal with this potentially significant hurricane. As for us, we're dealing with average temperatures all the way through at least Friday, and then Friday we go a little above average, and that's ahead of the Labor Day weekend as we really start to warm back up, low to mid 90s, maybe a stray storm Sunday evening. And then as we kick into next week, some good news. We were expecting mid to upper 90s, but now we're looking at maybe some slightly better rain chances, and if we get these rain chances, which we do need them, they'll also help keep our temperatures down. They're still above average, still hot, but maybe not as hot as we were originally thinking, so something we'll keep a close eye on for you. That's Check Your Forecast. We'll be back with more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
A cat owner in Wichita, Kansas got the surprise of her life the other day. She received an email from a veterinarian in North Carolina telling her that her beloved feline, missing nearly a decade, was found. The cat owner is now trying to reunite with her precious pet. Lane Alter has more.
Carol Holmes spent August 19th thinking of her father, Bob. That day would have been his 94th birthday. And that day, she got an email about another Bob she was missing.
Well, it was surreal. It really was. I was just so stunned.
You see, this Bob was Carol's missing cat, named after her beloved father. Bob the cat disappeared from Wichita 10 years ago and resurfaced in North Carolina. She has no idea how he ended up there.
I know the finder and I wish that Bob could talk and tell us the story of what happened during these 10 years.
Someone in Fuquay Varina, North Carolina, found the cat, brought him into a local vet, and had him scanned. That's when Carol got notice, all the way in Wichita.
But it's very unusual to find a cat after they've been gone nearly a decade.
Carol is thrilled Bob has been found and is now working with a volunteer group to get Bob back to Kansas because, of course, there's no place like home.
She said the group told her Bob could be back as soon as September, but first Carol needs to raise the money to have him fully vetted and get an interstate travel certificate. Carol has set up a GoFundMe page to raise money for Bob's return. We'll be right back after these messages. A Ferris wheel in St. Louis had some VIP guests Monday. That's very important, pups. In honor of National Dog Month and National Dog Day, which was last week, the St. Louis wheel hosted dogs with their humans. This is the second time dogs have been allowed on the St. Louis wheel. The first time was in March 2022 for National Puppy Day. And she may be cute, but you don't want her stopping you at the airport. Meet Dina. She's a 3-year-old German short-haired pointer who is a passenger screening canine at Harry Reid International Airport in Las Vegas. Dina is the winner of the Transportation Security Administration's or the TSA 2023 Cutest Canine Contest. Last week, the TSA held a social media contest where the public had the opportunity to vote for the agency's cutest canine from 4 agency finalists. TSA handlers from across the country initially nominated the good boys and girls, and the TSA employees voted and narrowed the field of 29 contenders down to 4. As the winner, Dina will be featured on the front cover of the TSA's 2024 Canine Calendar, which will be released later this year.
And we've got ourselves a pretty nice day. We are going to be a little warmer than what we were before, and by before I mean yesterday. We're going to have mostly clear skies through the morning. We're talking mid-60s by 8, 70 by 9, 75 at 10, and 79 by 11 a.m. as we head into the afternoon. Again, warmer than yesterday, but about average. So we're talking mid-80s out there, maybe some upper 80s as well under partly cloudy skies. And then between about 5 and 7, there may be 1 or 2 stray showers out there. Kind of crazy, but that is a possibility. But I think about 98% of us will remain dry. We're otherwise partly cloudy, and we'll go mid-60s for our overnight lows. And as we look at the week ahead, we're going to stay average or right about tomorrow and Thursday. And then Friday, we're going to go about 2-3 degrees above normal, and that's ahead of the holiday weekend and a warm-up that's going to take place. We're talking low to mid-90s as we head into Labor Day, maybe an isolated evening storm on Sunday. And then we head into next week, and we were originally anticipating highs being mid to upper 90s and the potential of breaking some records for the first week of September. However, some new data, still a ways out. I mean, we're a week away from all this, suggests we might see some thunderstorm chances. We need the rain for sure. And if we actually do get these thunderstorm chances, while we'll still be hot and we'll still be above average, it'll help keep those temperatures from going too high. And of course, again, bring us some much needed rainfall into the 4 states. That's a quick check of your forecast. And you know what? We have a whole nother hour of the KOAM morning news in about 2.5 minutes. We'll be right back. Now at 6, businesses and housing programs in Knoll, Missouri begin to feel the impact of the impending closing of the Tyson plant. Plus, we've got ourselves a pretty decent start to the day, and it's going to be a little warmer. We'll talk about that forecast coming up. And concerned parents speaking out about drivers not paying attention to school buses heading to and from school.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning, 4 states, and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. The time now is 6 a.m. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy.
I'm Chris Warner. So we've got a pretty decent start to the day. In fact, it's so nice. You're out there kind of enjoying some of the nice temperatures this morning. Right? Check it out. Yeah, it's a beautiful start to the day. Our camera 7th and range line showing that. Same from the MoDOT camera at 20th and range line. We've got those clear skies. It is just a wonderful, wonderful start. And considering that the first day of September is this Friday, it kind of feels like it. Unfortunately, as we get into September, it will not feel like it at all. All right, let's get our day started, shall we? And we're going to start first with the kids getting on that bus, which, by the way, we've got this story. But seriously, you see this thing out? You see those red flashing lights? Stop. Do not go around the bus. Okay? Some of us have kids, and some of us care about those kids, all right? We're going to talk more about that in a moment. But seriously, come on. It's not that hard. It takes just a few seconds. 61 at 7 a.m. Calm breeze out there, mostly clear skies. And as the kids head home this afternoon, we're looking at partly cloudy skies and talking about the mid-80s out there with a light northwest breeze at about 5 to 10 miles an hour. And as we get our morning started, as we head off to work or school or whatever else you may be doing today, we're looking pretty decent. We've got some mostly clear skies out there. We're a little warmer because, like I said, we're going to be a little warmer this afternoon. Not hot, but warmer. And we're going to go right around 80 by 11 o'clock this morning. So that does mean our highs, again, a little warmer, closer to average out there. We will, unfortunately, start to heat up as we head into the Labor Day weekend. We'll take a look at that full forecast and have the latest on Hurricane Idalia here in just a few more minutes. Caitlin?
Thanks, Chris. Well, less than a month after Tyson announced the closing of the Knoll plant, local businesses and housing programs in the area are already feeling the impact. KOAM's Fernanda Silva has the story.
In almost 3 years running Bob's Hometown Pizza, Lynn Parrish is getting ready to face the second major crisis of her business.
We made it through COVID. We'll make it through this somehow.
She says about 80% of her clients are somehow related to Tyson. With the closing of the plant, she's sad to see some of them already leaving.
We've had several come in that they come in to eat one last time because they're already moving out of the city.
Bob's Hometown Pizza is not alone in seeing people go.
About 27% of the families that are impacted by the Knoll Housing Authority program are Somalians who work at the Tyson plant. While the program is not going to be impacted financially, they will be impacted emotionally.
We are subsidized by the government, so technically financially it won't hurt us. We've grown, I've actually really grown to love our Somalian community, and it's going to be difficult for us.
According to Knoll Housing Authority, out of the 27 Somalian families that are part of the program, 5 have already given notice that they're moving at the end of October. 2 are moving in January.
There's several that have come in and just kind of said, hey, I don't know if I'm moving yet or not. I'm trying to find a job locally, but if I have to, I'm I'm also looking elsewhere.
Even with all the uncertainties that lie ahead, the local Chamber of Commerce is looking at the situation with optimism.
It gives the whole city of Knoll a whole opportunity to kind of reinvent what they are, what they do. Prepare to weather a storm. And doesn't mean the storms don't last forever. You know, it will get marginally a little bit worse, and maybe a lot worse for some businesses depending on what business you're in. But at the end of the day, if we can keep most of these people here with better paying jobs, that actually bodes well for their business in the long run.
Parrish shares a similar feeling.
It's gonna hurt for a while, but I think in the long run it'll be okay.
In Lowell, Fernanda Silva, KOAM News.
The McDonald County Chamber is organizing another career fair for those looking for jobs. That'll be on September 28th. And the USDA is investing nearly $50 million to help utilities in rural Kansas build and improve clean drinking water and sanitary wastewater systems. Some of that money is going to local projects. Neosho County Rural Water District number 4 is receiving a nearly $11 million loan and grant to build a new booster pump station and storage tank. More than $16.5 million will be used to refurbish the water system in Girard, and the city of Humboldt is getting nearly $13 million to replace piping, hydrants, and meters. Now that there are more school buses on the roads during the morning commute, drivers must stay vigilant when students are boarding. Parents near 2nd and Schifferdecker in Joplin are concerned about the number of drivers passing school buses while students board. Parents say this has been happening since school started a week ago.
Myself and my neighbor, who lived very close to her, have about 16 children between us. That's not even including the other side of the road. It would be great if they could put up some more signs to try to slow people down or patrol the area more. That's what I would suggest.
According to Missouri law, illegally passing a school bus is a Class A misdemeanor. First-time offenders found guilty could have their license suspended for 90 days. And a new law in Missouri will take a more hands-off approach to the way you drive. The sit-ins banning hands-free law goes into effect today. The new law prohibits handheld cell phone use while driving, and it's not just cell phones. It's any electronic communication device like pagers and tablets. There are specific exemptions in the law for drivers communicating in emergency situations, emergency first responders, and other emergency roadside workers, and for hire drivers. Penalties for violation of the law will be enacted beginning January 1st, 2025 to allow adequate time for public education. And that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, the latest update on Tropical Storm Idalia as it barrels towards Florida's Gulf Coast. Plus, Amazon is raising its free shipping minimum for some non-Prime members. And Chris Warner returns with another look at your Tuesday forecast. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back. Topping Nation Watch this morning, Tuesday is the 241st day of 2023, and the U.S. has seen more mass shootings than that thus far this year. According to data from the Gun Violence Archive, the number of gun incidents in 2023 have hit a high not seen in at least a decade. John Lorink reports.
Gunfire erupted at the Southern Restaurant and Lounge in Louisville, Kentucky early Sunday morning.
Enough is enough. We can and we must do more.
Police say at least 2 adult males were killed in the shooting while 5 others were hospitalized. This is among the nearly 500 mass shootings in the U.S. in 2023, according to the Gun Violence Archive. Both CNN and the GVA define a mass shooting as an incident where at least 4 people are killed or injured, not including the shooter.
Too many families are having to bury their loved ones. Too many children are being left without mothers and fathers, lost to senseless gun violence.
The GVA says the U.S. has had more mass shootings this year since at least 2013, which is when the nonprofit group started tracking gun violence.
We need more stringent background checks. There are a plethora of things we can do to tighten our laws.
Data from the GVA also shows more than 20 mass shootings have erupted in the U.S. during the week that ended August 27th.
We have a violent gun problem in our country. We know that.
More than 50% of U.S. adults say they or a family member experienced a gun-related incident in their lives, according to a survey from the Kaiser Family Foundation earlier this year. I'm John Lawrence reporting.
A study published Monday in the Annuals of Internal Medicine says 1 in 14 gunshot victims will be shot again within a year. Within 5 years, the chances increase to 1 in 8, and then about 1 in 6 after 8 years, according to the research. The findings are based on data taken from St. Louis hospitals from 2010 through 2019. Simone Biles won a record 8th national all-around title Sunday at the U.S. Gymnastics Championship in San Jose, California. The win also makes the 26-year-old the oldest woman to ever win the championship. The 8 title breaks the record she shared with Alfred Joachim. He won his 7th all-around gold medal 90 years ago in 1993. Biles continues her return to competitive gymnastics after a 2-year hiatus after the 2021 Tokyo Olympics. That's when she pulled out of several events, suffering from what is known as the twisties. That's a mental block causing a gymnast to lose track of their positions in mid-air. Biles is the most decorated gymnast in U.S. history, with 32 medals across the Olympics and the World Championships. Walt Disney Pictures' visual effects crew has filed for an election to unionize. More than 80% of Disney's in-house visual effects crew members reportedly sign authorization cards. The workers are behind some of Disney's biggest hits, including the live-action adaptations of The Lion King, Beauty and the Beast, and Aladdin. If the elections turn out in favor of unionizing, the studio will be obligated to hold good faith negotiations. Just weeks earlier, Marvel Studios' VFX crew also moved to unionize. The Marvel and Disney filings are the first for VFX professionals. This comes as industries throughout Hollywood are demanding improved labor conditions. Hollywood productions have screeched to a halt since the Writers Guild of America announced a strike in May, followed by members of SAG-AFTRA, the actors union, going on strike in July. The Walt Disney Company has not yet responded to a request for comment. And Amazon is raising its free shipping threshold for some customers by $10. To qualify for free shipping, non-Prime members typically have to place an order for at least $25. On Monday, Amazon said it has raised that minimum to $35. A company spokesman said it's testing the $35 threshold, and the threshold testing is being carried out for regions based on zip codes. That means all customers in a given region will see the new policy applied to their orders. And Tropical Storm Idalia is intensifying as it barrels towards Florida's Gulf Coast. It's expected to become a major hurricane and make landfall by tomorrow morning. The governor has declared a state of emergency for much of Florida. CBS News' Christian Benavides is in Tampa with a look at how residents are racing to get ready.
After thrashing through western Cuba yesterday, Idalia is expected to hit Florida's west coast in less than 24 hours.
This is going to be a major impact, and Floridians should expect that this storm will be a major Cat 3+ hurricane.
In Tampa, the shelves at this target are already bare, while residents also fill up their tanks and sandbags.
If you prepare for it, then you're ready.
Chris Dosel stocked up in Gainesville while traveling home to Tampa from North Carolina.
We know once we get to Tampa, there'll be nothing.
Sanibel Island and Port Charlotte residents are anxious, with many still rebuilding from last year's Hurricane Ian.
My concern right now is, will my home withstand the storm?
Mandatory evacuations have already been ordered for parts of at least 10 Florida counties, including here in Hillsborough County, though the governor warns there is no reason for residents to leave the state.
It's not necessary to try to outrun the storm, just get to higher ground.
President Biden spoke with Governor DeSantis yesterday and has already approved a federal emergency disaster declaration for the state. Christian Benavides, CBS News, Tampa.
Idalia is expected to weaken as it moves through western and central Florida on up into parts of Georgia and the coast of the Carolinas. Meanwhile, Hurricane Franklin is already churning out in the Atlantic and likely to cause some rough surf conditions along the southeastern U.S. coast. Though so far, that storm is not expected to make landfall in the region. And that's a look at some of today's top national stories. Now here's Chris with a look at your forecast.
Yeah, we've got ourselves, again, a pretty decent day across the area. We're going to be a little warmer as temperatures get closer to average in the mid to upper 80s. We're going to take a complete look at your forecast and have the latest on Hurricane Idalia when the KOAM Morning News returns.
For the latest happening in Hollywood, on screen and behind the scenes, here's David Daniel with the Hollywood Minute.
Donations for striking Hollywood workers keep coming in and going out. The Entertainment Community Fund, formerly the Actors Fund, has raised more than $7.6 million and says it's distributed nearly $5.5 million in emergency financial assistance to more than 2,600 film and television workers. Tuesday is the 120th day of the Writers Guild strike and the 47th day of the SAG-AFTRA strike.
So an epic demonstration in our nation's capital, organized in 8 weeks.
Do this, Dr. King. Own your power.
Here's your first look at Rustin, starring Coleman Domingo as Bayard Rustin, an architect of the 1963 March on Washington. This first teaser trailer was released on the 60th anniversary of the march. The film debuts in select theaters November 3rd and on Netflix November 17th. In Hollywood.
All right, well, I hope they get that writer's strike figured out. It's costing them more money than just agreeing to their terms. Now, let's take over to Chris for weather.
Now, we've got ourselves, again, a pretty decent day lined up for us. We are going to take a complete look at your forecast and take a look at Hurricane Idalia out in the Gulf, or in the Caribbean, moving into the Gulf, when the KOAM Morning News. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News, 6:22 now on this Tuesday morning, and we've got an absolutely beautiful start out there. We've got clear skies. It's nice. It's pleasant. 65 is the temperature in Joplin right now, and temperatures around the region also quite pleasant as we get this day started. 61 Fort Scott and Pittsburgh. 62 in Iola, 63 Chanute, 62 in Parsons Chatopa, 64 Independence, 63 Miami Neosho, 64 Carthage, 63 Lamar. So you kind of get the idea. We've got low to right about mid 60s across the entire area. Now, the thing is our humidity's high and the wind is calm. There is some low-lying patchy fog. It shouldn't impact your commute, but if you're out in the rural areas, just be aware. Watch out for that potential for some patchy fog here and there, similar to what we saw yesterday, but otherwise shouldn't be a significant impact out there to you. We get our morning started, and we are looking great. Low 60s, well, mid-60s to start, mostly clear skies, a little warmer, near 80 by 11 a.m., and that is because we're going to be a little warmer today as we head into the afternoon. We're going to be close to average. Again, warmer than yesterday for sure, but closer to average. Partly cloudy skies through the afternoon hours, and again, highs mid to upper 80s across the region. And as we head into the evening, we have an interesting little feature. We've got the possibility of a couple of stray showers between roughly 5 and 7 p.m. If we see any, we're talking maybe 1 or 2. They're going to be very isolated, so about 98% of us won't see anything, but there could be a stray shower or 2 out there under some of these partly cloudy skies. Once we get through the evening, again, we're a little warm, but not bad. We'll go back into the mid-60s overnight under partly cloudy skies, so again, a little closer to average for our overnight lows. Now, we've been talking about, of course, Hurricane Idalia as well, so we're in the latest update, again, putting it as a Category 1 hurricane now, and you can see that it is moving into the Gulf, heading up toward Florida, and by 2 o'clock today, expected to be a Category 2 hurricane, 100-mile-an-hour winds out there, and as it approaches the Florida coast, this is what we're concerned about, and this is what they're watching down there for sure. It's the fact it's looking to be a major hurricane. We're talking Category 3, and so we're talking winds of 120, gusts 150, so significant concerns with flooding, storm surge, the winds out there as this Hurricane Idalia makes landfall as we head into what we are looking to be roughly tomorrow midday, early morning, roughly, for Florida. And as you can see, it's going to hold some strength. We're talking still a Category 1 hurricane with 80-mile-an-hour winds, 100-mile-an-hour gusts as it moves inland into southern Georgia and across northern Florida. And then it'll start to turn back out toward the Atlantic. So here it is right almost over Charleston, the center of circulation here just a couple days down the road. So we're talking tropical storm status, 60-mile-an-hour winds, gusts to 70, but still enough to be a problem. And as we head a couple more days down the road, you can see Let's see if it'll let me drag this back. This is the center of circulation. It's off the coast of North Carolina, but it is close enough that North Carolina could have some concerns as well. So there are hurricane warnings along the Florida west coast, tropical storm warnings inland and along the east coast and for southern Georgia, and tropical storm watches from the southeastern Georgia up along the South Carolina coastline out there. So again, something that we'll be watching closely. We all remember Hurricane Ian from last year. We spoke with a meteorologist down in Fort Myers during the morning show last year as that made landfall, and here comes Hurricane Idalia in roughly the same area, just a few points north. As for us, though, again, average temperatures through at least Thursday under sunny skies. Friday, we're going to go a couple degrees above normal as we get to 90. And as we head into the Labor Day weekend, it's going to get downright hot. We're going to start to go low to mid 90s for the first week of September out there, maybe an evening storm on Sunday. And the good news is some of the updates, now again, we're still a week away, so that's why this is going to change quite a bit. But some of the updates adding some storm chances in next week. And if we see these much needed rain chances, temperatures will be still hot in the low to mid 90s, but they won't be in the upper 90s like we were thinking. So let's hope for these rain chances because we need the rain and we need some slightly cooler temperatures. That's a quick check of your forecast. Now here's Caitlin.
Thanks, Chris. A National Institutes of Health study found children born in neighborhoods with better access to things like high-quality housing and parks had a significantly lower asthma incidence rate. Researchers say understanding neighborhood conditions can help identify vulnerable children at high risk of developing asthma. Women who maintain a consistent body weight after the age of 60 are more likely to live exceptionally long lives. That's according to a study from a University of San Diego that looked at almost 55,000 women and found that those who unintentionally lost over 5% of their body weight were 51% less likely to live to the age of 90. Scientists said the findings could suggest that general guidance for weight loss in older women may not help them live longer. And finally, your voice assistance device like Alexa or Siri might be helpful with daily tasks. But a new study out of Mass General Brigham found it could be a different story if you need and administer CPR. Researchers asked for different voice assistants 8 questions about the emergency procedures, but were mainly given unrelated and inconsistent responses. Doctors said the findings show if you need help administering CPR, you should call emergency services. And that's a look at some of today's top health stories. We'll be right back. Right now it's 6:30, looking to get away this weekend? Experts say the roads and skies will be even busier with holiday travel.
Now we've got a great start to the day across the area. Nice temperatures and a little bit warmer as we head into the afternoon. We'll take a look at your out-the-door forecast coming up.
Plus, authorities warn of a rise in imposter scams. KOAM's Tanya Bach has a special report, including how you can protect yourself.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning, 4 states, and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. The time now is 6:30 a.m. on this Tuesday morning. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy.
I'm Chris Warner. So as you mentioned, it's Tuesday, so we're past Monday officially on that downhill run to Friday. And on a downhill run to a long weekend for some of us across the area. So we head into the Labor Day weekend, and unfortunately, it's going to be a bit on the toasty side. We'll have a full look at that forecast here in just a few more minutes. But first, let's get you out the door. If you are driving, so far looking great from the MoDOT camera at 20th and Range Line. As we say, as long as the cars are moving, we're in good shape, unless the light's red. We want them to stop for that, but you get the idea. They should be in motion otherwise. Kids getting on the bus this morning. We're at 7 a.m. We're looking at low 60s, a calm breeze, mostly clear skies, not bad out there at all. And when the bus brings them back home, again, not bad. Warmer today, so we go a little closer to average than what we were yesterday, but not hot, just quite warm. As we go partly cloudy by 3 o'clock, we're talking temperatures right around the mid-80s with a light northwest breeze at around 5 to 10 miles an hour. As you head out the door, whether you're going to school, going to work, going shopping, whatever it is you may be doing, it is a great day to do any of those things because we've got mostly clear skies, great temperatures, 64 at 8, 70 by 9, 75 at 10, and right at 79, close to 80 by 11 o'clock this morning. So again, as I've mentioned this morning, it's just a little warmer than where we were yesterday, but nothing too terrible. Unfortunately, little warmer is not a phrase we're going to be able to use as we head into the holiday weekend. We'll take a complete look at that forecast and what we're expecting this weekend here in just a few more minutes. Caitlin?
Thanks, Chris. Well, travelers gearing up for the holiday weekend can expect more traffic than last year. Experts say gas prices are unlikely to deter the late summer Great American Road Trip that goes for travelers in the air as well. According to AAA, booking data, flights, hotels, rental cars, and cruises are all up over 2022. INRIX, a global provider of transportation data and insights, expects this Thursday between 2 and 6 p.m. to be the busiest time on the roads. Anyone flying over the holiday weekend should check airline schedules for delays or cancellations before leaving for the airport. The Federal Trade Commission processed 2.4 million fraud reports in 2022 with an $8.8 billion price tag. According to the FTC, identity theft and imposter scams top the list. Imposter scams happen when someone pretends to be a trusted person to get you to either send them money or give out personal information. When they get the details they need, that's when it goes south. Scammers don't just target the elderly. Officer Rhonda Andrews with the Baxter Springs Police Department says imposter scams like this are becoming all too common. According to the Federal Trade Commission, for every 5 imposter scam attempts, at least one person loses money.
I had a case the other day. It was an older woman. She's a grandmother, and they took several $1,000s from her, and it really affects them. That's her life savings. They don't work. Some of these people don't work anymore, and that's their retirement.
Officer Andrews and the Baxter PD will host a scam prevention class next Saturday, September 2nd, from 2 to 3 p.m. at the Baxter Springs City Hall. It's open for anyone to attend. And top-ranked pickleball players from around the world descended on Pittsburgh. The Pickle in Pit event included Play with the Pros games, a pickleball clinic, an exhibit, and signed autographs with some of the top-ranked pickleball players in the world.
Fun to get out there and play with everybody. There were some gems in there, some good players, some potential. I'm being really serious. And it was really cool to be able to play on the courts that J-Dub grew up playing tennis on. Now converted to pickleball, it's kind of like the community is growing with us.
Proceeds from this fundraiser will go to maintaining and enhancing the Jack Johnson courts and new pickleball programs at the Four Oaks Sports Complex in Lincoln Park. And that's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour in the KOAM Morning News. Travel has boomed this summer, and it appears the rest of the year will be just as busy compared to 2022. We'll have what you need to know.
Plus, we've got ourselves look, there's that fog I was talking about. It's low-lying, but still some fog out there, so make sure you're just watching out for it. Got a pretty nice day ahead of us. We'll take another look at that forecast, and we'll have the latest on Hurricane Idalia as soon as the KOAM Morning News returns.
In Consumer Watch this morning, travel has boomed this summer and it appears the rest of the year will be just as busy compared to 2022. CBS News correspondent Winnie Gillette reports from Las Vegas on what's expected and when you need to book for the holidays.
Victoria and Emra Bilgin from Potomac, Maryland, headed for France this summer, along with millions of Americans who flocked to Europe despite dramatically higher airfares.
America's getting more expensive and it's cheaper to go abroad.
They stayed at the film and fashion-focused Hotel Martinez in Cannes, which we also visited for a special raid. It boasts spacious suites overlooking the Mediterranean Sea, including penthouses with a couple of the largest terraces in Europe, art installations, a new spa, and a hopping retro beach club.
In terms of Americans, we see that the number is even greater than in 2019, so they are really back.
Forecasts show worldwide travel is also going to be busy the rest of the year.
More than 5,000 travel industry professionals recently gathered here at Bellagio in Las Vegas for Virtuoso Travel Week. The luxury travel network expects to see sales around the world up almost 50% compared to last fall.
And yes, travelers should already be thinking about the holidays. Virtuoso finds sales and bookings for December 17th through January 7th are up 17% compared to last year.
This holiday season, we expect the rates to be equal to what they were last year, if not even a little bit higher.
Some destinations will offer a bit more value the rest of the year. Virtuoso expects this fall rates will be down slightly in Athens and decrease significantly in Palm Beach, Florida, and Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. And over the holidays, travelers can look for cheaper rates in New York and Vail, Colorado, and substantial savings in Los Angeles.
You should already be booking your holidays because there is so much demand for this year that everything is filling up very quickly.
If the beach beckons this holiday season, Virtuoso predicts Mexico, Costa Rica, and the Caribbean will be filling up with Americans. Wendy Gillette, CBS News.
Virtuoso also finds culinary and wellness travel are increasing in popularity this year. The U.S. Department of Transportation said it is fining American Airlines $4.1 million for unlawfully keeping passengers stuck in planes on the tarmac for lengthy periods of time. In a statement, the department says American Airlines violated the DOT's rule prohibiting airlines from keeping passengers on the tarmac for more than 3 hours. During the delays of that length, airlines are required to allow passengers to exit the plane. The DOT says the fine marks the largest civil penalty ever issued for tarmac delay violations. And about 44 million Americans with student debt must soon start repaying their student loans. Interest will start accruing on education loans on Friday, with payments set to resume in October. The change could impose a financial strain on many households after a 3.5-year hiatus during the COVID-19 pandemic. A Supreme Court ruling this summer blocked President Biden's plan to forgive up to $20,000 in debt per borrower. And after 35 years, Nordstrom has shut its flagship department store in San Francisco's Union Square. In May, Nordstrom's announced plans to close the 5-story location, saying customer foot traffic was affected by a dramatic change in the dynamics of the downtown San Francisco market. And all eyes on Wall Street this week following a much-anticipated speech by Fed Chairman Jerome Powell, who's hinting he's willing to take a hike in interest rates again. So what does that mean for borrowers? Jen Sullivan has a closer look.
A Goldilocks speech from the Fed, making Wall Street and consumers a little nervous. On Friday at an economic summit in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell said more rate hikes are still on the table.
We are attentive to signs that the economy may not be cooling as expected.
A hike in interest rates means higher borrowing costs for consumers with credit cards, home, car, and personal loans. This comes as mortgage rates are already sitting at a 22-year high. Experts say if you're looking to make a major purchase, like a home or a car, either delay it or brace for higher costs. And expect stricter requirements when it comes to applying for a loan.
Bank lending standards have tightened and loan growth has slowed sharply.
The Fed's forecast follows several batches of data showing inflation is cooling, but the Fed isn't ruling out more aggressive action to bring down the pace of price increases.
2 months of good data are only the beginning of what it will take to build confidence that inflation is moving down sustainably toward our goal.
Powell says the Fed's target inflation rate is still 2%, as it aims to slow the increases in prices and cool down the overheated economy. But one prominent economist says the U.S. economy is stable and says the Fed can stop raising interest rates.
People are betting that the economy is pretty resilient, and if it starts to show signs that it isn't, expect those rates to come down.
This week, as investors soak in the Fed's message, there's concern it could send stocks plunging amid concerns continued rate hikes could tip the economy. For Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
The next Fed meeting is scheduled for next month, with an announcement on potential interest rate hikes expected to follow. That's it for Consumer Watch. Now let's take it over to Chris Warner for a look at your forecast.
Yeah, we've got a pretty decent start to the day out there. Take a look at the MoDOT camera, 20th and range line. Looking back to the south, we've got mostly clear skies as we start our Tuesday, and kids getting on the bus here in about 18, 17 minutes. We're looking at low 60s, calm breeze, and those mostly clear skies. And as the bus brings them home later this afternoon, we are talking about a little warmer, but not hot, close to average as we go mid 80s by 3, partly cloudy skies, and a light northwest wind at about 5 to 10 miles an hour. We are going to have another complete look at your forecast, including the latest on Hurricane Idalia here in just a few more minutes. And we also are going to bring you birthdays and anniversaries. We're going to celebrate with you right after this. All right, time for some Tuesday birthdays across the 4 states. We're going to begin with Grayson McBride, celebrating birthday number 6 today. Says, we love you and hope you have a happy birthday from Mom, Dad, and Hunter.
All right, now taking it over to Pittsburgh, Kansas. Happy 8th birthday to Ariana Kraft. It says here, happy birthday, Mama, or Papa and Nana. Love you, sweetheart.
And Sawyer Max Storm turning 9 in Jasper today. Happy birthday to you, Sawyer. And a fun little fact for Sawyer, if you didn't already know, Max Storm is the name of our weather system here. Very happy birthday.
I love that. Happy 10th birthday to Hayden Bloom over in Frontenac, Kansas. Have a good one, Hayden.
And Lauren Pack celebrating birthday number 13 in Galesburg. A very happy birthday to you, Lauren.
Happy Sweet 16 to Cooper Bob Burchett over in Liberal, Missouri.
All right, this is a fun one. I like this. Ricky McMeechan, Sandy Arambula, Randy McMeechan, Robbie McMeechan, all celebrating their 37th birthday. They are quadruplets. Ricky is in Joplin, Sandy in Pittsburgh, and Randy and Robbie are both in Clarksburg. And that man there, that is Dow Quick, who got his picture taken with them 37 years ago. A very happy birthday to these quadruplets.
That is so cool. How special. Love that picture. All right, well, now taking it over to Girard, Kansas. Happy 44th birthday to Missy Cisney. Love Mike, Evan, Aiden, Marley, and Quinn, and the rest of the family.
And we've also got Donna Miller celebrating another year wiser over in Chanute. Happy birthday, Donna.
And we got a big one. Happy birthday to our very own Tim Aronson. He is our KOAM technical media operator and just saving grace on the morning show here.
He is. You have heard us reference Tim on more than one occasion, and that's what Tim looks like. So if you see Tim today, wish him a happy birthday. Tell him thank you, because he helps keep us on the air. And so does this guy, Dylan Macedo. He's also not only a director, he's an IT and engineering assistant. He has helped with more than one project I've had out here in the studio. A very happy birthday to Dylan today.
All right, and now finishing it up, we have Odin Davis, who turns 52 in Pittsburgh, Kansas today. Love your family.
And we've got Bob Horton here celebrating birthday number 86. Birthday wishes coming from his son Kenny and daughter Diane, grandkids, great-grandkids, and the entire Hookhill family in Southwest Missouri. Big celebration there, Bob. Happy birthday.
I love that. Well, if you want to submit your birthdays or anniversaries, feel free to send them on over to us at birthdays@koamnewsnow.com. We love pictures and good messages, so feel free to include that along.
We certainly do. We love celebrating birthdays with you. You know what we also love doing is having the opportunity to tell you about good weather, because believe me, if we could control the weather, it'd be nice year-round with just enough rain to keep things going. But we don't control the weather. All we can do is tell you what's coming up. Let's take a look outside. MoDOT camera 20th and range line in Joplin. Looking back to the south, we got those clear skies looking great. MoDOT camera US 60 and Missouri 59 in Neosho. This one looking back to the west. There's Lusk Drive. And so you can see clear skies as well down there. And clear skies and a little bit of that fog. This is what I was talking about. It's low-lying patchy fog out there. So you got to watch out for it. But as you can see, it's not making that much trouble, but still, just be careful. As of course, coming from the KDOT camera 69 and East 520th Avenue, just immediately south of Pittsburgh. And, well, the camera, there it is. Okay. Well, the camera at 7th and Rangeline apparently getting to the Labor Day weekend a little early. We've got mostly clear skies in Joplin out there looking great. 65 is where we're at. Dew point 62, humidity 90%. We got calm breeze out there this morning. And temperatures around the region, not looking bad at all. 61 Iola, 62 Fort Scott, 61 Pittsburgh, 62 Parsons, Chetopa, Neodesha, Miami, Neosho, Anderson, and 61 Cassville and Monette. So again, not a bad start to the day. As we get our morning started, looking great, mostly clear skies. We're going to warm up near 80 by late morning, because again, we're going to be a little warmer today as we get a little closer to average with our highs in the mid to upper 80s with those partly cloudy skies out there. So not unbearable, but definitely warmer than what we've seen. As we head into the evening, partly cloudy skies, and between 5 and 7, a stray shower or two is possible, but I think about 98% of us will remain dry as we head through the evening. And we partly cloudy overnight, mid-60s across the area. And then, as we've been talking about, Hurricane Idalia. Right now, the latest updates putting the winds at 75 miles an hour, so Category 1 hurricane, expected to intensify to Category 2 by about 2 o'clock Eastern time, so 1 hour time. By 2 a.m. tomorrow morning, this is what we're worried about. It becomes a major hurricane, Category 3, winds 120, gusts to 150, and expected to make landfall tomorrow about 7 a.m. our time. So we'll definitely be keeping an eye on this as it holds its strength through southern Georgia and back toward the Carolina coast out there. So a number of concerns with Idalia as she comes along through southern Georgia and right along the Carolina coastline. So we've got hurricane warnings for the Big Bend in Florida, the Big Bend region in Florida, along the west coast. Tropical storm warnings from southern Georgia down along the east coast of Florida, and then tropical storm watches for parts of the Georgia coastline and stretching into South Carolina as well. So a lot to keep an eye on out there with that. For us, though, we again will remain average through about Thursday with sunny skies. We're going to go just a pinch above average on Friday as we go about 90, and we head into the holiday weekend. Temperatures definitely warming up, low to mid 90s, maybe an isolated evening storm Sunday. And then as we head into the first week of September, we are still a ways away. So this data, of course, updates regularly, could change again, but we're now looking at maybe some thunderstorm chances as we head toward next week. And if this comes to be, instead of our temperatures getting into the upper 90s, they'll still be hot, still above average, but they'll hold into the low to mid 90s. And we may get some much needed rain. So we'll keep an eye on that for you as well. Well, coming up when the KOAM Morning News makes the switch to Fox 14 at 7 a.m., tell you how one festival is bringing tens of thousands of people from across the country and the world just up the road to St. Louis.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Less than a month after Tyson announced the closure of the Knoll plant, local businesses and housing programs in the area are already feeling the impact. According to Knoll Housing Authority Executive Director Rosetta Hartley, out of the 27 Somalian families that are part of the program and are tied to Tyson, 5 have already given notice that they are moving at the end of October, and 2 are moving in January. Another local business, Bob's Hometown Pizza's owner, Leanne Parrish, says she's about 80% of her clients are somehow tied to Tyson. With the closing of the plant, she's sad to see some of them already leaving. A new law in Missouri will take a more hands-off approach to the way you drive. The sit-ins meaning hands-free law goes into effect today. The new law prohibits handheld cell phone use while driving. It's not just cell phones, it's any electronic communication device like pager or tablets. And there are specific exemptions in the law for drivers communicating in emergency situations, emergency first responders, and other emergency roadside workers, and for hire drivers. Penalties for violation of the law will be enacted beginning January 1st, 2025 to allow adequate time for public education. The Federal Trade Commission processed 2.4 million fraud reports in 2022 with an $8.8 billion price tag. According to the FTC, identity theft and imposter scams top the list. Imposter scams happen when someone pretends to be a trusted person to get you to either send them money or give out personal information. When they get the details they need, that's when it goes south. Scammers don't just target the elderly. Officer Rhonda Andrews with the Baxter Springs Police Department says imposter scams like this are becoming all too common. According to the Federal Trade Commission, for every 5 imposter scam attempts, at least one person loses money. And the U.S. Department of Agriculture plans to make a sizable investment in the sunflower state. The USDA is investing $49.1 million to help rural utilities and build clean water.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining us for the KOAM Morning News. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning at 5 a.m.